Hello guys and welcome back. This podcast is being recorded via a live stage from the Discord. Please excuse us for the rough ending, but we had to close the stage.
Yeah, hi guys, it's RoguePLC, and thanks for coming, and also for T33Kanne being here as our guest. A long wait to get him on the show, but finally we do have him. So, let's kick it off with a nice one. I think, thank you Papa for getting me all this list, and I want to start off with this one. I'm going to combine it into two questions because it's kind of following up on each other. So let's start by asking T33Kanne, where did you start out and your journey when you're becoming a senior community manager for World of Warships?
First of all, thank you for being here. I already see the question how to say my name. So my name is T33Kanne, that's the German spelling, but you can call me T33Kanne. My journey is actually an interesting one. I met the people that know me know that I played PC, World of Warships PC, for a very long time. I started out in 2015 as any other casual pleb. I didn't know much about the game, and I'm the kind of person that wants to, like, I always focus on particular games and stick to them, and I wanted to get better, so I started looking out for clans, joined a German clan back in the days, and got better, met a few friends on the way, and then joined Mortis International. Back in the days, it was a very successful World of Warships clan for in English speaking. I didn't join the German part because I wanted to improve also my English. That was another goal. And over the years, when I played in tournaments, I of course had the contact to the people from Wargaming. I spoke to Chrysanthos a lot, since he was in Mortis International back in the days before he moved on to Wargaming. I had a brief time playing with him, and then I met Mr. Conway through chats, and when I moved on to Rain in 2018, in early 2018, I had the chance to visit a friend of mine from Rain in Paris, and at that time Wargaming was still in Paris. So I just contacted Mr. Conway and said, like, hey, is there an opportunity to, you know, visit the office and meet you guys? Because besides Gamescom in 2016 or 17, I don't really remember that year, I didn't really meet them that much, and so they said, yeah, come on, and I visited them. I visited Tanatoy, the French CM back in the days, and Mr. Conway. And a few months later, Mr. Conway contacted me because he knew that I was working in customer support / membership administration in another industry. And he just contacted me and said, like, yeah, we have this open vacancy for a community manager for Legends, an upcoming console title. Are you interested? And I was like, yeah, sure. Sent them my application. They contacted me, a recruiter contacted me, and I got the job. So it was more or less like a shot in the blue, and I was lucky. I wanted to do it, and exactly during that time, between the time when I was in Paris and the beginning, they moved to Prague. That was a big part for me personally, because I do not like Paris personally. It's a very special city, I would say. It's nice for vacation, but I wouldn't personally live there. And I was happy when they moved to Prague. And yeah, I started basically I think my starting date was 1st of September 2018. And my last working day in the German company was 31st of August. It was basically the Friday, and on the Saturday and Sunday, on the 1st and 2nd of September, was the King of the Sea tournament, which Mr. Conway basically dragged me into the office. I arrived in Prague on the 31st of August around 11 o'clock with the bus, because I had to work in Germany until 5 o'clock in the evening. So I took the bus, got into my apartment, which was already furnished because I moved a week earlier, so I didn't had any apartment in Germany for 1 week, so I slept at a friend's place in Munich. And the Saturday morning, I just woke up, went to the office, and Mr. Conway dragged me in front of the camera, and basically took me for the King of the Sea podcast, for the King of the Sea stream, which was a very nice experience, but I was super nervous. So yeah, that is basically my story. How I became a community manager. I started out alone. Back in the days, there was no Robin or no Prince Blip. It was during the alpha time, so I needed to get myself acquainted with the game, with the controls. At that time I wasn't really a console player, which was due to me not having that money at the time to be actually able to get a console separately from the PC, because I was always a big PC gamer. And then of course, I mean, everybody had like the ability to, or the chance to play something at on PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3, but at that time PS4 and Xbox was like the Xbox One and PS4 was unobtainable for my level. So yeah, I just needed to get acquainted with the game. The good thing is I had all the history with World of Warships itself, so I didn't have to relearn all the mechanics and the tech trees and the ships and the nations. So that was really good. And for me, the best thing was that the development director Kirill back in the days already talked to me, and when I had some suggestions or concerns about something, he listened, and that is what I valued the most at that time, because he knew that I had the experience from PC, and I had certain skills in the game, so it was nice to have someone who valued that. So yeah, sorry for that long answer, but I just wanted to give you the best possible.
No, that's 100%. I think it's you actually done more than I actually asked for, but it's 100%. Thank you. A follow-up question on the one. What do you think you've learned about yourself and about this community in the past 2 years?
So, for me, finding out to be patient was one of the most challenging thing, because I used to be a very heated person, I would say, when I used to be in tournaments and playing and streaming. There are some clips from me probably out there still from my stream recordings back in the days, but yeah, it was seeing both sides as a hardcore player, and then from the development point of view really opened my eyes, because sometimes you just ask yourself, why is this, and why is that, and how is this so hard to implement? Or we will get into probably a few examples later on, but then to see the whole process behind it and the whole thought process behind the development itself really showed me to be patient and not to be so I would say emotional about it. Like there were a few things at the time that of course made me angry, and it's just to control your feelings, because either you cannot change it right away, or it needs to take a certain time for things to be implemented the way that you think they should be implemented. And yeah, those are the things that I had to learn the most about. And when it comes to the community, since I was more or less with it since the beginning, I'm happy how it developed and how it is. Especially, I don't really want to compare it to other communities, but I'm just happy that we built our own little world. And of course, there are sometimes you have trolls, sometimes you have friendly banters, and I'm always participating in those. Those who know me in Discord know that I'm a nice dude, as long as nobody trolls or insults anyone from the community. And I think we are at a very, very good point where I technically don't need to be here for the community to work. and that is when I know that the job is well done, and when I know that I can go into a weekend and not look at Discord and nothing is on fire and the community is nice and friendly as it should be. Yeah, so I'm just happy what I learned about the most about the community itself, that it works. Like, it's nice, and they are just here. So yeah.
Yeah. Oh no, most definitely. That's one thing I can also concur about, in saying the community is very helpful, especially to new players. So
yes,
another great job, guys, and everyone that's out there listening, you're doing a swell job. A second question from D-Ribs. He's asking, what's your favorite thing about working with or at Wargaming itself?
there are a couple of things. So for me, the greatest is my colleagues. I have the ability to work with fantastic guys. For example, I don't want to say that I handpicked Robin, but I was part of the reason that I pushed Robin to apply, since he contacted me. I think he talked in his podcast about that as well. That it was when he released the video about Hagumim, I think, and it was just fantastic. So, and working with Prince Blip as someone who is that young and has that knowledge about history that I personally don't have. You know the sentence that if you try to achieve something great, always surround yourself with people who know something better. I know my things, but I also know that Robin knows his video stuff, and Prince Blip knows his history stuff, and also the other colleagues from the PC team. To have that knowledge. For example, Lord of Droid is, in my opinion, one of the greatest team leaders I've ever had. He's not also pushing the team, but also helping wherever he can. And also my colleagues from St. Petersburg. If you need something, you can just ask, and they will try to make it work. And that's what I'm basically for the European team, like for Prince Blip, Robin, and Final Boss, who just joined the team a month ago. That I'm basically for them if they need anything, and that I can ask it from the St. Petersburg team. So yeah.
Yeah, great team overall. I met most of them. It's just we're waiting for Final Boss because he needs to settle in before we pull him over to the stage. But that will come in the future. We've got a question here from 150 beats per minute for life from Mayoko.
Mm-hmm.
What are the duties and responsibilities of a community manager, their role in development, and what is the extent to which they do or do not know about information?
Okay, so let's start with the duties and responsibilities. There is a lot, actually. It's, first of all, to talk to you guys and interact with you. That's, I would say, number one. We pay attention to social medias, to all of them, interact with you guys, and collect your feedback and condense it to then forward it to the development team. That's what we are doing on a weekly basis, and also provide you with the content, like the blog posts. Like if you see the blog posts or patch notes on Reddit, Discord, wherever, we are the ones who basically prepare them. We also need to communicate with our social media manager, which is Dasha, to spread the information equally. Then one of the big things that I personally do, since it varies a little bit, like Robin is moving on to focus on content and video production, and also to be like the quality assurance for our videos that we release. And Lane also focuses on the historical parts, historical streams, community interaction on Discord, while Final Boss focuses on Reddit for now. My job is to have the big picture in mind. That means I'm checking future versions that are currently in development. We have some kind of basically a QA integration where the team the development team itself writes down all the features that make it into an update. And this work happens sometimes like 1 to 2 months in advance. So when it comes to the questions about to the extent of what we know and what we don't know, there is of course some kind of development roadmap that has a plan over a certain amount of time, let's say 6 to 8 months, and the big features are written down, like what we want to do, like tech tree ships, upcoming campaign ships, and so on. That is what we know. What we don't know are like small features that make it into the game from the backlog, which Kirill talked about in the development Q&A. That is something that we have to wait for until a version is finalized. So currently the next finalized version is already 3.6, so technically I know everything that makes it into the game with the next version. And then they already work on the version afterwards. So basically the next update is already finalized, which comes soonish. And the version afterwards is not yet completely finalized. Everything after, we don't know, but as again, there is some kind of development roadmap with a big plan. So this is what we know.
Yeah. Okay. I think that answers our questions very well.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, Kane is very, very vocal. He's rushing down the mics.
I mean, if I talk too fast, please stop me. If you and if you want to follow up with something, please go ahead, ask me, and I'm happy to be as open as possible.
I mean, the pace is very good. The question have a follow up, so we are good at the moment. We are going good. Keep on. Come on, Rogue.
Yeah.
Okay, well, the next one's from Maki Tango. Would you have moved to Prague for an employer other than Wargaming, or vice versa? Would you live or stay in Prague if you had the completely location independent job available?
That is not an easy question, but if I would need to answer it right now, yes, I would. But you also need to take into account which job it would be for, because for me, working for Wargaming at that time was a dream job, because, as someone who played a game for a certain amount of time and then has the ability to actually make something or be a part of the development to some extent was a dream. So if it would be, for example, for some other game developer that has its office in Prague or not remotely, I can just... For me personally, I wanted to move out of Germany at the time. I wanted to have the international experience because I think it does greatly in your CV to have this kind of experience outside of your own country. And besides that, Prague is a beautiful city. I haven't been to Prague before I moved here, so I would definitely do it again if I had the ability. So yeah.
Yeah, I kind of think it's like any normal job. You have to first look up the location if you're happy with it. Of course, the employer, in this case, Wargaming, who wouldn't want to work for them?
Yeah.
Well, there's a question here that a lot of people have been asking, and it's come from Hippa, Turtle, Gixocon, and even Chili. Now, they want to know a lot of things about you. What's your favorite ship, your camo, the skin, the map, and what ship or thing you would love from PC to come to Legends?
Alright, when it comes to ships on PC, I would pick Yamato back in the days because it was my most played ship. When it comes to the camouflage, I would probably pick the Baltic camo from the Bismarck because I just love how it looks, and I'm happy that we implemented it. I have to say, I was personally fighting for it, that we implemented to in this year for the 3rd of October, for the German Day of Reunification. And I was positively surprised to just see it in our integration and then in our patch notes to say like, hold on, we're implementing the camouflage for Bismarck, and then I saw it and I was like, alright, good, fine. When it comes to skin, I really, really do like the black skins, if you can call it a skin. Otherwise, I would probably go for the Azur Lane Artur skin. I like how it looks, personally. But I also am a fan of all the historical camouflages. But I mean, the difference between camo and skin, the skin has the 3D modeling, or a different 3D modeling, like the on PC. It is the Halloween Bismarck skin that I really like, with the teeth that are coming out from the side. Map. I personally love Land of Fire, both on PC and on Legends. Also Trident, because I like the night sky, because Trident is always like a little bit nighty with the moon up. And when it comes to things that I would love to see from PC and Legends, I would love to see Zau and Hindenburg. I love those two ships. I think Hindenburg back in the days was one of my first tier 10 ships on PC, and Zau was the second one. So yeah, those I would really like to see. Yeah.
Okay. Well, Papa wants... He's got a question, just himself. How a former competitive NPC, of course yourself, player, feels when it comes to introducing a new mode or mechanics that have been tested in the World of Warships PC version and segmentized as a failure. Asking this as your current state of a senior community manager, how your prior status affects your mentality.
As someone who plays PCs, or has played PC since 2015, I have to be honest, I haven't been that active on PC that much anymore. But I guess most of the questions are interested in the whole aircraft carrier discussions. Of course, aircraft carrier have always been a big topic, especially on PC when they used to be RTS style, and it was a very, very big skill gap difference in good and bad CV players, I would say. A very good CV player in the RTS style was completely able to obliterate any other players. I played back in the days with people like Rete or Papanikolis, who were the best CV players in the world, so I know what I'm talking about. So seeing the change, the CV rework, was exactly in the time when I joined Wargaming in August 2018. I saw the whole process from the beginning, like the first presentation to the actual implementation, to then see the balance changes from the CVs made on PC, including rocket planes and the whole discussion of rocket plane interaction with destroyer and so on. Seeing how we implemented the aircraft carriers in Legends might not be how it is the best right now, but I think we did a very good job at balancing it out in a way that it's not horrible. And seeing someone, or seeing it as someone personally who dislikes aircraft carrier because I just don't like the interaction between surface ships and ships that do not have a direct impact, like not a direct impact, but no direct ship interaction, because the CV can attack you while you cannot attack the CV. It's the ship plane ship interaction and not ship to ship interaction that I don't like, that is missing. And seeing something like that, just, I mean, I was hoping that CVs never make it to the game. That was my personal hope. Now I'm currently happy that it's implemented like it is, without rocket planes. And how it affects my mentality, you have to live with it. Like, you cannot change it. You have to just try to make the best out of it, and that's where our job comes into play. where we can direct the feedback to the developers in a way like how we would like to have it, or how changes are necessary, even though this feedback might not always be considered. But because you also have to keep in mind that developers don't only balance the feedback that we after the feedback that we get, because the vocal community is only a small part of the players who actually play the game. But we actually had the ability to change quite a few things based on this small feedback in the way that we provided it. So I cannot really answer you the question about how it would affect my mentality, but it's like a very difficult thing to not be too passionate about it. And that is where I have to differentiate between my feelings and what would be best for all players, and not only a small portion of players.
I do definitely think that the way CVs has been introduced into the game, and even with the fixes and the changes that Wargaming has done so far, I think they've done a very well job. And I think a lot of people do think the same. There's always, when a new line comes out, the line tends to be a bit strong in the beginning, and then it's tuned down a little afterwards. But I want to ask you...
So
go ahead.
When it comes to implementation of new lines, you also need to keep in mind that in the beginning, a lot of players who saved some XP are able to either boost through it, and those players are most of the time the above average or core player who know how the game works, and that's why usually results are being received as better, because they share the results before other people who might take longer to get to the end of the line are able to play it. So yeah, I wouldn't say that new lines are stronger. I would just say that more skilled player get to the end quicker than the people who take more time to research this line. But yeah, depends.
Okay. Well, take us back to the Gamescom 3 years ago. How close is Wargaming, the team itself, to their main target when releasing Legends, and how was the experience, to the team so far?
So before Kane, please let me make a comment. When we say take us to the Gamescom years before, I want also to give us some backstage, what happened there and how, because I have seen a lot of photos going around the social media that it was a very intense moment, especially for the Legends team. I've seen some photos going in social media from members from the community, I mean from your account and lot of Droid's account, Filigula's account, and go on from the backstage. So it was a very touchy moment. So please tell us about that moment.
Which exactly? Do you mean the Gamescom where you saw the picture with Dasha as well?
We are not focusing on that moment, but if you'd like to say about that,
okay,
please go on.
So
I mean, I saw Filigula with a lot of droid in the backstage.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So
emotional things. Yeah. Come on.
First of all, I want to point out that Filigula is one of the greatest guys I've ever worked with. He is one of the nicest dudes and most reasonable guys, and he would do everything for you guys. Like, he really tries to make it right to anyone, to everyone. So to answer the questions regarding the main target, I don't think that I can answer this since there is no main target. I would say that we are happy with how it developed, because back in the days, Gamescom 2018, or was it? No, it was Gamescom 2019 actually. The pictures that you saw, because 2018 was when I joined, so that was Gamescom 2019. Sorry, God damn it. That was the time when we released the German cruisers, and that for me was the first time to speak on a stage in front of multiple hundred people, and I was nervous as hell. Because they needed a German speaker, and Phil doesn't speak German. So he was on stage with me as a Russian, with only being able to speak German, and I needed to hold a presentation about the upcoming ships in front of a crowd that was there because of PC, and they knew already everything about these German ships because la-di-da, German cruisers were in PC already since, I don't know, 2 years at that time. So I had to make a presentation interesting about content that they already knew about, that was coming to Legends, a game they were probably not interested in. Because it was basically the PC presentation of World of Warships, and we had a small part in this. The pictures you're talking about were our VIP room, and that was the coolest thing ever. We had basically a VIP room where we had slots that people were able to book, and in those slots were special people. So we had a few guests from St. Petersburg, Evan, Artur, which is now the development director for the publishing director for World of Warships NA. He moved over to Austin. Before that, he was associate producer in executive producer in St. Petersburg, and he was in Cologne with Dasha Perova. Many of you know her. Filigula was here, and I think another person that was basically there with Dasha. She was called Dasha as well, so it was a little bit confusing. And people were able to book this VIP room and basically meet them. And like 95% of the people who entered this room were players, core players, hardcore players. And that was the greatest interaction I've ever had, because it was like a closed room on the main stage, next to the main stage on the Gamescom, with where people could sit down, have a drink, and talk to us. And yeah, there's where I mean, if you want, you can share the picture with Dasha in the chat so people can see it. But it was great. I absolutely love Gamescom and the player interaction. So yeah, that is what I can tell you about the Gamescom.
That's very good. Thank you very much.
Yeah, this one comes from Hivehound, and he's asking, I understand the community can be, on occasions, get quite upset with wargaming. Being the customer, face part, how do you deal with these criticism and, on occasions, downright offensive remarks, which we know is not always nice?
With all respect, I was working in the fitness industry, in the membership administration, which means like accounting, and I was the one calling people if they were late with the payment, and that what I'm experiencing now in the gaming industry is not even coming close when it comes to offensive remarks that I've had in the past. I personally always have to differentiate between if people are straight up offensive in a way that they just want to insult someone, or if they are just passionate about the game. Because everybody is that at some point. I was it as well. Like, I love World of Warships, and I absolutely hate it when something is not working as intended, or if somebody has a bad game and just vents about it. I understand that. I have no problems if somebody writes me personally, a PM, and just, lets everything out. As long as it's not in our community chats where everybody sees it, because I'm just a fan of having a nice and calm environment for everybody, and I just don't want the toxicity to be around in those chats. It doesn't have a place there. I don't want this to end up I don't want this to end up like some kind of forum where nobody wants to meet, nobody wants to go in, because they know that what they are reading is purely salt mine, and yeah, nobody needs that. But if somebody wants to vent, they can happily write me personally, and I can talk to them if it's something that just went wrong. So I always tell my team, if they have these kind of things, they should always try to be calm and not let it get to them, because it's it's not good when they take it personally. And we had some people attacking us personally in the past, and I just try to reason with those. If it's not working, in the end, it's my job, and I don't let myself insulted at my job, so in the end, I would just block them if it really comes to that, which didn't really happen that much. We had people who... I mean, we have our 3-strike system on the Discord, which means there is one warning, there is a second warning, and if people still don't learn, then they get banned. And I have no problems with doing that, because in the end, it's for our good, because it's for our, I would say, mental state, and also for the community. So, yeah. I don't know, there's always a reason why people are aggressive, or why people insult us or are angry at wargaming. I just learn to deal with it, or not really ignore it. I read through Facebook and Reddit on a daily basis, and especially Discord, even if I'm a lurker on the weekend. I follow most of the chats, and it's for me personally really hard to put my phone aside, but sometimes I catch myself in very negative comments or negative threats, and I'm like, oh god, no, please just stop for today, because at some point you just take it home, you know. And that's where I realized that I shouldn't do that. I should stop.
Yeah, never take work home.
Yeah, same.
Well, this question is actually tying in very well with the previous, and this one is coming from Hey It's Mojo. What separates good feedback from bad feedback when the community asks for change?
Bad feedback, as an example, is when people just write fix XY, when we have no idea what they mean, or when there is just...
kind of like fix the Bucks Bismarck, you know?
Yeah, well, that's kind of a meme already, but yeah. You know, if a player sits down and writes like a long text and says like, hey guys, I played this ship now for 2 days since release, and this is my broad overview. I like this, this, and this. This is something that I don't like, and this is something that doesn't work, or whatever. Or if, for example... Best example, ranked. Season 14 and 15 that just passed for tier 6 and tier 7 with arms race. It is good for us to see a polarizing mode where people say on the one hand that they love ranked with arms race, and then on the other hand they say we do not like the heals, how they work, because they are too strong, and we do not like the distribution of, or the distribution spawn points of those buffs, because it's too RNG based. That is good feedback, and this is what we take into account, and this is what we provide to the developers. And yeah, it's exactly like heals bad, but as long as people are able to explain why the heals are bad, because it's an issue between balancing that crews are being basically obsolete, and you know, battleships can reverse in a cap for 3 minutes, eating 10 torpedoes, getting shot at by 4 cruisers, a little bit, you know, over exaggerating, and they just survive. Then of course we understand that it's frustrating, as long as there is a reasoning behind it. So yeah, and regarding the distribution of the spawn points, that is something that we also discuss internally. I, for example, had a very heated discussion with Prince Blip where we discussed the placements of those buffs, because he said there is no way where you can anticipate where those buffs are spawning, and I'm basically saying yes, that's true, but if you put the spawn points of each skill at the same location every single game, you would have the same game over and over and over again, because every player knows where they spawn, where they are, where which buff is. So do you want to play different games and have an RNG element in it, or do you want to have the same game over and over again and have a campy meta? Because this is literally what it would end up. So we will of course provide the feedback like the community wants us to forward it, but it's up to the development team to adjust this, because we have no hand in saying, yeah, hey development team, can you please change the spawn points of those buffs? We are not the ones who decide this. They will take a look at the feedback that we provide, at the data of the game data, and then they will change it or not, and that's not up to us. But yeah.
And kind of by that time it's already too late, because then the ranked season is over.
Yeah, well, I can tell you already, these kind of things will not be changed during a season or during an update. Like, hot fixes for a console are super difficult to implement, because they have to get through the platform, how's it called?
Authentication.
Yeah, and like, it is really not easy. And those changes is just something that we take into account for the future, for future iterations. But also don't forget that we cannot adjust something like this for already the next update, because the next update at that time is already finalized. So, yeah.
It's already in the game.
Yeah, it would be already implemented.
Well, I kind of want to go to Chili's question. He's asking, why are the rank rewards so low? You know, kind of tying in with the one we're talking about.
Oh, you mean this time? Well, first of all, these ranked seasons are way shorter than the previous one, and yeah, they are easier. You have more save points, so I mean, that's the answer.
Yeah, short and sweet. I like it. I've got Ninja's asking, how come it's taking so long for clans to be added into the game, even though it's been more than 2 years since the game released? Was there a sort of an issue with the development, or was COVID a massive factor in regards to that? Of course, we've heard a couple of questions about this, but from your perspective, what do you think?
Okay, so from my perspective, and I'm always gonna be straightforward and honest. First of all, clans have not the highest priority, and I'm honest when I say that clans do not generate any revenue. That's why they are on a very, very low priority when it comes to that. They are for a small part of the players' core hardcore community. That's a fact. And yes, to answer the question, Corona, COVID did delay some parts of the development. But in a whole, it's not only affecting some features. For example, I would have personally liked a sound improvement way, way earlier, and I'm happy that it's currently in development and testing. And as Kirill already answered, clans or like cross-platform divisions and friends list are in the work, and with that, clans are also in progress. But yeah, it's not like we had a priority on clans.
Tyler1808 is asking, and will we ever see or get a theater mode? Like his example is like on Call of Duty, where you can rewatch the game through teammates or enemies and free aim without the ships disappearing, kind of.
I don't personally know the theater mode on Call of Duty. I've never played that game.
Neither do I.
But so when it comes to replay feature, I have no idea on that. I cannot give you an answer. Of course, it would be nice to have some kind of replay mode where you can rewatch the game or record it, but there's nothing planned on this part. And yeah, hang me for not playing Call of Duty, I'm sorry.
No, I don't even play it that much, so we're in the same boat on that one. Well, DS Rep, when will you finally see a buff to the weaker or barely played ships like the Azuma, the Champagne, the Gascon, and the Monarch? Are there any plans to fix the buggy Z29 turret angles as well?
So, okay, to take the last part of the question away regarding the Z39 turret angles, I was going through the questions here on this Discord, and I have played it myself today. I have not heard it before, I'm sorry. I have not heard about this turret issue before. I was raising the point before the talk today to Filigula, and the development team is gonna revisit this issue. He explained to me that apparently they already took a look at it and determined that this is not a bug. I remember personally it felt like the old Nuremberg turret issue that we had around 1.5 years ago when we released the ship. Few of you might remember this, where it just felt uncomfortable to shooting it because the crosshair was on target and was showing that the turret was that you were on the target, but I know that back in the days it was an issue of the turret elevation, that you were not able to shoot over the over some geometry on the ship. So that is probably why you cannot shoot. But he told me that they're gonna revisit this issue, and I need to wait for a response from our QA team or from our developers if they check it in. Regarding weaker or barely played ships like Azuma, Champagne, Gascogne and Monarch, I know that Monarch is doing more than fine. Regarding the other ships, Azuma already was buffed. We need to take a look at the stats for a little bit longer. And Champagne and Gascogne, you can expect some changes to that ship, because I personally do think as well that they need some love, especially Gascogne, which is one of my favorite French ships. I love the look at it. I love how the ship plays, but I think some changes are in the pipeline for those. I cannot tell you what exactly, but yeah.
No, it's okay. I've got one from Community Florist. The dev block, is it going to happen? ?
Unfortunately, I cannot tell you anything yet, because that is... So, for that process to begin, it's a very time-consuming effort, and I first need to find a way to reallocate my time to make this happen. Especially since most of the documentation, and yes, sorry to take this excuse, but most of the documentation is in Russian. And when it comes to the QA integration, which we use for patch note, this is being done in St. Petersburg. So Filigula and our new we have a new copywriter that is basically taking this away from Filigula, who usually did the patch notes, and that I would probably need to talk to him how we can make this work. But to give you my honest opinion, I am personally against the development block, because it takes away the focus of the current update, and it doesn't allow us to collect feedback on things that currently matter, especially if it's like campaign or missions or new tech tree ships, and it shifts away the focus to future content that is not yet released. And let's be honest, most of these discussions about things that are not playable yet are based on data and stats, and we had it so often in the past that people broke out in discussions and about things that have not yet been implemented because they saw the stats, and in the end nothing was wrong with it. So we need to take a look at it. I'm personally against the dev block. I know why people want it, but there is a reason why I'm against it. So yeah.
Okay.
I do believe you've got...
I think that I need to say that we are approaching 1 hour of podcast, and that means that...
Oh, it's fine.
That means that both parties are gonna be tired soon. So if you like to close up with 1 or 2 more questions, and then give the opportunity to the community, if they want to speak with Kane, to open their mics and make a direct question to him. But that will be limited. I mean, limited to the people that we know and we trust, because it is a live stage, it is public, and you must be not only me and TK and the speakers, but also the other community that they are listening. So please, Rogue, pick up 1 or 2 questions and close it up, and we're gonna open the community then.
Okay. No, I'll do just the one then.
Okay.
Another one coming from Hades Mojo. Can you tell us about a time that someone from the community genuinely surprised you with a fun story or a video? It was close to your heart, and that, you know, really meant something to you.
Oh, so
difficult one.
Yeah, not really.
Oh.
Back in the days when I joined the team, and it was, I think, the closed beta, we sent out codes, and I know I had one. I know it sounds weird, but I had one woman contact our Facebook account back in the days, and that was when we still took messages on Facebook and we were like a little bit smaller. And that woman contacted me, and I was just going through the messages, and I saw like one extremely long text from her where she contacted me and said, "Hey, I don't know how I should say this, but my son," who at that time I think he was like 12 or 13, was genuinely interested in Warships because his dad was at the Navy. It was in the US, and he was generally interested in Warships. He saw the game on PC and he wanted to play it on console, and her mom informed herself and saw like the game is coming in open beta. I don't even know how she found it because it literally was nowhere at the time. So she contacted us, and we sent out the first batch of the codes, and she didn't receive one, and the beta was over. So I revisited the message when we had the second beta, and I answered her, and I sent her a code for the second beta, and she sent me a picture from her son sitting in front of the TV playing the game for the first time, and she told me like he was so happy, and that was one of the persons that I contacted when we released into the alpha, when we released in the early access in April 2019, and I sent him a Founders Edition code with the ships that we released at the time, like Arkansas and Marblehead FE, and he, like she said, he was the happiest guy at that time, and he was like 13 or 14, and I was always happy to assist in something like that. So that was kind of the story that stuck with me.
Well, very heartwarming.
Yeah, excellent story for the closing up. Yeah, I really like that. Very, very emotional. That's very good.